And good afternoon, friends. Here to pass on a little bit of thoughts for the day. So, I'm looking at the influence and the life of Jesus Christ on this earth, and looking at what a Christian would be seeing. And as we go, and I've said this before, that prosperity kind of it gets you away from God, because all of a sudden you don't need God in your life. You've got all your needs. You buy the house you want, the jet you want, everything like this, and we don't spend as much time with God. We don't have that relationship, and maybe that's why there's a lot of very wealthy people out there. I think Elon Musk said it best. Hey, I was hanging out with 20 billionaires this weekend. I've never been around a more grumpy group of people. And a lot of us would ask that question that maybe are struggling or saying, yeah, I wouldn't mind having $1 billion. I wouldn't mind having $1 million. And we believe we'd be happy, which, you need money to have, have a life where you can afford things, whether it's healthcare, good foods, place to stay, shelter, everything like that. So let's not say, oh, we don't need money, we can live in tents. Please don't go there. Anyway, an interesting thing that sometimes when dealing with other religions or maybe atheists, my question is, hey, we've got all these other people that, different religions and everything that aren't Christians. And I go, yeah, but here's the one thing, and in trying to prove to somebody that that's a tough proposition. But I always ask that question. Well, we know outside of the scriptures that Jesus walked this earth, right? We know in the Roman Empire there's been books written about how this guy came along and he was doing these kind of things, and so there's a lot of truth to that. And if you deny history and all of these textbooks that were written, then I don't know what to tell you. You're like a flat earther, right? But the facts remain is that there was a guy on this earth that was doing miracles, healing people, and doing everything in the context of the Bible, and his name was Jesus. And I think it was like 400 years after the death of Jesus that, things had been passed around, and a Roman had written a book regarding this kind of thing. So it's factual. And I would challenge someone that really isn't a believer to just imagine for a second that you are a believer and what that means to you. You got to you have to ask yourself some true questions. And, have you ever experienced love in your life, right? So what happens when we experience love and this joy that comes into your heart, all right? If you've never experienced that, maybe you have a good argument on your side. But I believe every person has felt joy and sorrow, okay? And as I look into the world today, obviously, we're going down a path towards the end of the world, and it's all been written in the Bible, and here it is, right? It's all there. There's all this hate. What do we hate each other for? Aren't we supposed to just, we can't figure things out? We have all these wars and everything, and people dying, and loved ones and everything, and you have all this violence going on, and it's something we all could live without. But we can't get there, right? And, Jesus made a lot of promises to us. And, we were supposed to have a peace inside of us. And I noticed, hey, we're so busy, even a lot of Christians, they're so busy that we live in this world and we get distracted by it instead of slowing down, spending a little time with God, praying about a lot of things, like simple things. A lot of people goes, oh, well, God doesn't care about, these small, trivial things. So let me ask you this question. Jesus' first miracle, Here he is at a wedding. They run out of wine. Okay? Now, you can argue all you want with me that it was grape juice and it wasn't wine, but I'm telling you, it wasn't grape juice. They would have said that. This was wine. This was a feast. This was a wedding party, right? Let's not go there. Let's just look at the facts. Jesus is sitting there, and they came to him, and they said, hey, we're all out of wine. He could have easily said, looks like the party's over a little earlier than expected. I wish the bride and groom a happy marriage, and let's get on our way. Let's get this place cleaned up, right? But no, he didn't. He created more wine, and it was the best wine. Okay? Trivial thing. Did they have to have wine to survive, to make it through the day? No. And then, on top of that, it was the best wine. So even the smallest things that you don't consider as important enough, it was important enough. You just got to bring them in. Okay? Spend more time in prayer and listening. Okay? Everybody needs something, no matter how successful you are, how wealthy you are, or how little you got. We have a priority system, and there's something that we want an answer for, we want guidance for, so we enjoy that peace. And that's today's lesson.